So it's been 2 weeks since Resident Evil 9 Requiem launched, and man has it been extremely successful. Requiem is officially the fastest selling RE title of all time, where it sold over 5 million units less than a week after release. I never would have thought in June of last year we were looking at one of the top best selling games in the entire franchise. Usually franchises 30 years ago die out or simply fall off over time, for people lose interest, or the video game company that owns them just treats them like garbage. As for Resident Evil's case, it's still kicking with no signs of stopping whatsoever. I am very happy for it, and I'm so excited that this series still has a lot of energy within it, that it has more games planned out, whether it be remakes or new entries. It's been ongoing since 1996. Seriously, I have never seen so many people want to play a Resident Evil game so badly. It rivals previous entries, including the year where everyone and their mother thirsted over the 9-foot-tall glass of blood wine known as Lady Alcina Dimitrescu. I don't think there's been a better time to be a Resident Evil fan compared to now. As of recent, a week after its new record, we received confirmation from creative director Koshi Nakanishi that we will indeed receive a free update for a photo mode feature, a minigame update in May that is free, and if you did play the game, light spoilers, a story-focused DLC which is already in development. The paid DLC might be released sometime later this year or next year, so do not expect it anytime soon before summer or even during summer. Heck, maybe not even in the fall. So just keep that in mind. As a heads up, I must say some of my criticism might be answered through these updates. I'm just letting you know before I critique the game, despite having the knowledge that we may receive problem solvers through the future updates for Requiem. Setting all that aside, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the highly praised Resident Evil 9 Requiem, marking the 30th anniversary for the franchise. Let's once again enter the world of action and survival horror. Resident Evil 9 Requiem, after 2 playthroughs on Standard Classic, is an amazing ride. Flawed? Yes. Extremely fun though? Absolutely. It's very fun to play, gorgeous to look at, and pretty horrifying while exciting overall. On top of that, it quite literally is a game made specifically for the fans. You have survival horror and action colliding in one title, making it feel as if you're playing 2 different Resident Evil games. Grace is our survival horror focused character, and Leon is our action focused character, of course. Both gameplay styles are executed pretty nicely, making them fun whenever the game swaps you back and forth between both characters. Grace feels like classic RE meshing together with modern RE. You explore the Roadhouse Chronic Care Center like you would the Spencer Mansion or the RPD in other games. You fight and or evade enemies, run back and forth to save rooms, solve some very easy puzzles, and of course, save with ink ribbons depending on the difficulty alternative. Like stated, I played Standard Classic, so it helped with adding more to my playthrough, and in my opinion, it's the best way to play. There's more tension in the game when you have ink ribbons. In summary, I really enjoyed the clinic level probably the most since it gave me a lot of survival horror goodness. There's something so satisfying when it comes to this genre compared to the action-directed games later in the series, even the later levels in Requiem. I mean, I had a lot of classic RE title flashbacks when it came down to the clinic's exploration. When I went to turn the valve here and it broke, only to use a wrench later on the door to open it, I immediately thought about Jill back in Raccoon City in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis.
Damn it.
You know when she was trying to open that gas station shutter, only for the crank to break midway through? Yeah, that moment. Another flashback related moment was one I was expecting yet loved. The Crimson Head feature from Remake returns, but instead the mutated zombies are blister heads that are way more aggressive. If you do not pop a zombie's head into bits or destroy their bodies with hemolytic injectors, they get up as these creatures only to give you a hard ass time. Unless your name is Leon, I'm getting too old for this shit, Kennedy. different ballpark with them. The hemolytic injectors I just mentioned are indeed the game's version of Remake's lighter kerosene combo. You'll find using these injectors to be very reliable on many enemies, especially when they confirm an enemy will never get back up. Ever again. Since there's nothing left of them. It's extremely effective.
That's too effective.
As for another feature, the blood collector is such a fun mechanic. Enemies you down or kill become valuable contributors to the crafting system with the blood collector. When you use the blood analyzer in the game, you will unlock new crafting recipes. Using the blood in your collector, you will have the ability to use scrap with the blood or other items in general to craft medical syringes, ammo types, and much more. It's one of the best things about Grace's gameplay, besides the Requiem. Requiem is the definition of your last resort weapon. When all things go horribly, where you need a lifesaver, use the Requiem. It can take out several enemies in one shot, like this hallway for example.
Jesus.
Quite the powerhouse, right? Sometimes you'll kill plenty, sometimes you'll need it for a specific enemy type maybe. Whatever you do, do not waste the ammo for the Requiem because if you're using ink ribbons, yeah, you're gonna definitely be kicking yourself. It's a demanding ammo type to craft and a rare one to collect. Putting the Requiem back into the holster, I want to say that I love the fact that the developers put both first and third person into the game. It's the best of both Resident Evil worlds we've experienced before. I made sure first person was my default for Grace and it felt very appropriate for that. Then when I played as Leon, I stayed faithful to the third person perspective. It really added to the feeling of playing two different games as well as higher replayability for future playthroughs. First person Leon doesn't seem bad either. I must say it's pretty cool actually. It's another fun way to play the game besides another difficulty. Overall, I enjoyed the perspectives as well as Grace a lot more than I expected. Clinic level played a huge role in doing that, as many settings do, in bringing home that classic Resident Evil feel. Now, I'm going to kiss Grace's ass a little bit more, like people had pointed out in September, so... yeah, if her voice actress Angela Sant Albano does not win Best Performance at the Game Awards 2026, Jeff, there will be words. There will be so many people really upset, including me. Not to say there won't be others worthy of the title. I'm 100% sure there will be. There are plenty of talented individuals out there, although I personally enjoy the performance she gives. She acts her ass off, man. I mean, were they torturing her in that booth? Like, jeez.
What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? Mom, I'm scared.
No. We need to find a way out of it.
Hey! Help! What the fuck? Processing. Shit, no! No! This is all my fault. Again.
She sounds so horrified, scared for her very life as if she's actually in that game world. I mean, I can't blame her. Have you seen the girl stalker creature? She's freaking horrifying. Talk about one convincing performance. I can summarize it all by saying she did not just kill it, she owned it. So in the distant future when they make the Resident Evil 9 Requiem remake for whatever reason, there will be purists arguing over the fact that no one will ever replace her as Grace Ashcroft. Jokes aside, I'd even say she gives the most convincing realistic performance in the franchise. Angela Sant Albano, you did such an amazing job. So did the other actors in the story. Victor, Gideon, the enemies, other characters I cannot talk about yet because of spoilers. Leon S. Kennedy, the list goes on. As for our playable character, Leon, I think it's time to talk about our hardened anti-bioterrorism DSO veteran. Leon Kennedy is back in action since his last debut in RE6, which was almost 14 years ago. He's bordering his 50s in Requiem while still managing to kick so much BOW ass, even with the Umbrella curse. Leon feels Much more serious here, brutal even, but still the badass dork we know and love. He still has the one-liners, still has the looks. By the way, I have never seen so many people thirst over Leon so hard. Really evolved to being a Delph. He also has evolved from a knife to a hatchet, as if that makes things better for the enemies. Not only does he use the hatchet, he can use other melee weapons the enemies use too. After hours of gameplay, the hatchet feels like a step up from the knife. It's fun, effective, and has a limit upon using it. You always need to be sharpening it to maintain the durability meter, especially for potential fatal attacks like the chainsaw, the parry, or block, which is another weapon you'll love to be using when possible. It's really good.
Nice.
The hatchet, compared to the knife, when thinking about it, fits Leon's story here actually. Leon has always wanted to save the people of Raccoon City, to ensure the safety of others through his life. With Leon going back to Raccoon City, the hatchet doesn't just represent where he's at in his life mentally, being brutal and more violent, it's taking it literal, as it seems Leon might be bearing the hatchet in Requiem. Leon coming back to Raccoon City after 28 years might ease him into the mindset of being at peace. Somewhat at least. Thinking that if he can save Grace and take down those responsible in the place his life changed, maybe, just maybe, he can make something right here. That's my thoughts at the very least. Not exactly factual, but that's what I sort of got out of this story. Now, when I did swap to Leon early game, as he doesn't have large sections for good reasoning until much later, I discovered something quite cool and humorous. Whenever I swapped to Leon to explore the clinic for a short time, I realized Grace did a lot of the work for Leon by leaving almost nothing alive for him to fight. Trust me, not a negative, because I changed the outcome on a secondary playthrough for more replayability. It was just funny to know Grace, the heavily frightened one, massacred the entire clinic before Leon even picked up a shotgun to kill an early game boss. She was doing him so many favors apparently. Walking around with nothing to shoot at was just a funny yet cool moment of realization that Grace is nothing to sneeze at either. Grace will make sure that she can walk down the hallway peacefully. I can't blame her. Have you seen what wanders the halls? On secondary playthrough, Leon had lines of dialogue for certain enemies that were alive.
Sorry to cut your act short. What the fuck are you cutting with that thing? Elephants?
More action besides these scripted parts, and a feeling of contribution like killing the chef to unlock the pantry door for Grace later on. In short, to summarize all of what I just said, there is finally a zapping system in an RE game, almost 30 years later since the original Resident Evil 2. Finally! It's so good. Please, if we get another dual protagonist or A/B scenario game, bring more of this back. It adds so much to the game's replayability. It's something that was sorely lacking in Resident Evil 2 Remake. I just want to boot the game right back up just talking about it. Later in the game, you do have a shop system, about halfway through the game, where you can buy, upgrade, and sell stuff. And we'll go deeper into it, considering where it's at is a little bit of a spoiler, or at least the reveal of it is sort of built up. Personally, I would have loved to see a new merchant here though. That would have been pretty cool. However, I'm still not complaining. I also love the music that plays during shopping. It's pretty awesome. Now I must throw in there, Leon S. Kennedy is my favorite character in the series, obviously. A top character in video games I very much love. However, while I loved almost everything about Leon, trust me, I loved it a lot, so much, Grace's survival horror section does indeed top it by a good bit. I love the Leon stuff so very much, man, yet Grace felt like she had better level design and better enemy engagement in comparison. The clinic level is my favorite level in the entire game, I believe. The enemies she faces are fun to work around as well. It's just awesome. Even if it does still stick out as my favorite part of the game, it never stopped me from losing my mind happily at what Leon was doing on screen in his story. Heck, Leon had a lot of my favorite story moments. If you're a Leon fan, you'll love what they do with him for the most part. The references, the one-liners, the batshit insane moments, Leon fans are eating like royalty nowadays. I'm not joking, man, you'll get a lot of Leon love in this game. I will even say that the VA for Leon, Nick Apostolidis, plays my favorite version of the character.
Excuse me.
For 7 years, we have watched this version of Leon blossom from Resident Evil 2 Remake to Resident Evil 4 Remake to Resident Evil 9 Requiem. I am very much attached to this version of Leon. I'm sorry. I'm really hoping Nick does continue for the entirety of his career, or as far as he wants to take it, that he plays Leon, and that's even if it means prequel games. Don't get it twisted though, Paul Haddad, Paul Mercier, and Matt Mercer are iconic. Nick, on the other hand, kills it as 3 different versions of Leon that are all consistent. He played him from the years 1998, 2004, 2006, and 2026, all starting back in 2019. All without sounding the exact same either. It's super good. So I am completely 100% fine with Nick being our lovable, dorky, one-liner tossing badass. Nick Apostolidis is Leon S. Kennedy, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I think I've gone on enough about our characters and gameplay and performance. I'll be short with the next part due to spoilers, so let's get to some story elements as well as the criticisms I have for the game. But just so you know, I really did love this story. So, let's get to it.
I'll send you the address. Leon, we're running out of time.
The story of Requiem is definitely an enjoyable one. I had a great time with the many references the game throws at us, the character moments, much more. There are moments that will make you go, "What the fuck, they're in this?" Trust me, there are many, if not a couple moments where you will have that reaction in some way. While it does have its highs, there are a few lows for plenty of other fans. Notably, there being retcons that you'll either love or hate. Maybe you'll be neutral on the retcons, who knows? For me, I didn't entirely mind. Was it necessary? No. Do I think it could have been worse for Resident Evil? Probably. I just couldn't find any negative ground to stand on when it came to the retcons. This is coming from someone who wanted more for that specific character before a retcon occurred relating to them. In fact, it didn't exactly rewrite what they did in their life, it just changed their perspective later in their life. I'll leave it there, yet a lot of you know what I'm talking about. People might think I'm being easy on it, but I'm just saying how I feel. As for other story moments, there's a section in the game I felt harmed replays because of the tonal shift, or just how sort of slow it felt. Let's just say the section was a creepy hide-and-seek level directed with some very scripted moments in the middle of Leon's action-heavy level. Gameplay-wise, it sort of slows everything down. It gave us something people often thought about in the series, which was pretty cool, dark, but still cool. On the other hand, it feels similar to parts of RE7 and Village that you wish you could have skipped on those other playthroughs. I don't mind these levels. I mean, I love RE7 and I deal with that ship section that I'm not too big of a fan of. However, for future reference, Capcom, I appreciate the work put into these sections. I just really think there should be a skip option for the sections that are separate from the main character that you're playing as. Especially if it's not a character you'll play as again, who has nothing to add to the gameplay, and well, you know, adding stuff to your inventory, picking up weapons, so on and so forth. Lastly, I'm not going to spoil it, but I have to say the final boss and their final phase was kind of a letdown. Listen, I understand fan service, especially in a game like Requiem where we return to Raccoon City. I fully expect that. Although the final phase being a recycled boss from another game was somewhat disappointing. I love the cinematics before and after, okay? But the fight itself, not so much. Sure, it was a cool fight. I never thought Leon would fight what he fought in the end. Yet, I was waiting on the payoff of the design that you had for one of the characters. It was making sense until it didn't make sense at the end of the game. The final phase didn't stop me from loving the game in its entirety though, so the final phase is just mainly one of the bigger disappointments out of the whole game. Speaking of fights, I kinda wish Grace would have had more bosses to face off against. It felt a little bit unfair with Leon having the majority of bosses to fight against, which I don't think is a problem either. It's just the fact that, well, Grace mainly has one fight in the entire game. That very fight itself, after a bunch of build-up, was largely an objective with minimal fighting between objectives A to B to C. Maybe having at most 3 fights could have added way more in terms of Grace's content. Considering the story though, mainly the latter half, I do think I understand why she wasn't given that many fights. I still wish she had a little bit more in terms of going up against BOWs. At least the boss fights are very awesome for the most part. The silver lining was how surprising and fun they were. So, I'm not upset with the entirety of the game's boss fights, just more the fact that one character sort of gave the short end of the stick. Lastly, stepping away from the story's elements, the post-game content is by far the most disappointing personally. Upon completing the game, I was greeted with only Insanity difficulty, acting as the other game-changing part besides bonus stuff, like unlockable weapons and costumes. There's no Mercenaries mode, no hardcore difficulty in between Standard and Insanity. There's not even a proper New Game Plus mode, sadly. As for Mercenaries, I really do not mind considering the fact that the minigame update in May that they confirmed could actually be Mercenaries mode, so I imagine they have characters to iron out besides Leon for that game mode. It's almost similar to Resident Evil 4 Remake where Mercenaries was not available at launch until the next month post-launch. So I'll let that slide. If it never makes it though, I will be upset. The lack of a hardcore difficulty is of course disappointing since the gap of difficulty between Standard and Insanity is extremely noticeable. I understand why Insanity is here, it's the equivalent of Village of Shadows almost. But that's the problem. Could you imagine Village or RE4R lacking a hardcore difficulty only to play Village of Shadows or Professional right after the game is beaten? No in between. I'm just hoping it's patched in or thrown into an update. That's all. As for the New Game Plus feature, it's not really what I would call New Game Plus. You just start a brand new game where Leon's combat points he receives halfway into the game with the shop system appears early. Grace, like Leon, can have their bonus items carry over from in-game purchases, but we expect that in every other Resident Evil game, so it's expected here. Now, it's a problem considering the fact that on my secondary playthrough, I had to use my challenge points to purchase the Attic shotgun since it never appeared next to Chunk's brother. I started the boss fight with a handgun and a hatchet. So I had to restart to my checkpoint and buy the shotgun. So if you want to pick up the shotgun again in the attic, you unfortunately need to delete your save data. Yeah, I'm not joking. If you want to play the game as vanilla as you would like, that save data has got to go right into the garbage. All of that for a vanilla playthrough. No weapons carry over, none of the upgrades, nothing besides unlocked weapons and costumes or charms that you collected before. Which is nice, not gonna lie, since you can put them back into your item box or just take them back out, back and forth. It's very nice to have. Even if the charms carrying over is nice or even the documents you collected, I think the game's New Game Plus is in dire need of an update. I'm 100% sure that you will have a fun time on Insanity, or a lot more of a fun time on Insanity difficulty, if you could load your game's previous save from where you've beaten it the last time just so you can carry over your progression of upgrading weapons into another difficulty. So here's hoping we receive something to improve upon it, like an update. Well, I think I talked longer on the problems I've had with Requiem despite them not being enough to downvote the entirety of the game by much. It's still a very awesome game, and as much as it seems like I probably don't like it, I love the game. I've had a blast with the game. So, let me just go ahead and conclude this.
Sorry, but I'm not on the menu.
In the end of it all, I love Resident Evil 9 Requiem so very much. It gave me a great feeling of happiness despite its flaws, the retcons, the lack of certain features or additions found in other RE titles. It is 100% without a doubt my game of the year. I've had so much fun with it, I cannot put it down to play other games yet. I've spent around over 30 hours playing it, almost 40 hours. I am almost borderline addicted because of breaks. I mean, I've been stubbornly listening to the soundtrack for the recent 2 weeks and not really listening to much of anything else. It's that good. I'm not lying. It is that good. It is by far one of the best soundtracks from a Resident Evil game. Now, what would I rate Requiem? How high, how low? Personally, without rose-tinted glasses or recency bias playing a huge role, While it's a 10 out of 10 in my heart from its amazing gameplay, delivery of great character moments, as well as fan service, I will say Resident Evil 9 Requiem critically is a 9 out of 10. Will that change as time goes on? I'm not sure. I don't think it will. I feel as if I cannot budge on its rating whatsoever. On first playthrough, I was feeling that 10 out of 10 rating. On a secondary playthrough though, I was able to enjoy it more while being presented with the existing flaws forming my opinion further than before. So the 2-week wait for the review was worth it. I was able to critique the game subtracting my extreme RE bias from a first time experience because believe me, going from someone who didn't care for RE before 2016 to gushing like an idiot about it non-stop, I have plenty of praises for this series, and so I like it when I can be critical as I am with a lot of the other games. I didn't want the game to end honestly, I wanted it to keep going. I wanted more, I needed more from this entry, and that's not a bad thing. I was just loving what I was playing. So I'm waiting with bated breath for the minigame update, the DLC, and even more from the rumored remakes. I wonder what remake we'll receive next. So there we go, my review of Resident Evil 9 Requiem, a game worthy of giving me tears of joy. Thank you everybody who worked on what I'll stand firmly to call my game of the year. No one and nothing will change my mind on that. What an adventure. Time to wrap the show up. Let me know how you feel about Requiem personally, or just overall what you loved about it, what you didn't like about it. What is your opinion on the game itself? So, thank you everybody so much for watching, and as always, I hope each and every one of you have a great and safe day. Thank you.
I think I want a second opinion.